Hey everyone, welcome to the Royce Reports. I am your host Royce, and today we actually have some very somber news to be talking about, which is Microsoft just let go 10,000 people, or plan to let go 10,000 people in the upcoming months. And this affects Microsoft as a whole, but it also affects some of the gaming portions of Xbox, and some of those include the Coalition, Bethesda, and mostly 343 Industries. And so there's a lot to unwrap with this, and to see where Halo is going next, because a lot of the shakeups involved with 343 are on the campaign side, and we even have Joseph Staten leaving 343 Industries and returning to Xbox Game Publishing. So let's talk about it. So yeah, you probably heard about all these massive layoffs that are occurring right now in the tech industry, and I just want to kind of put this in the forefront and say that a lot of people are focusing mostly on Microsoft for some reason, but they're not the only ones that are doing this. It is in fact a lot of the tech giants that are going around and firing a lot of people. Now, this isn't me trying to say that I'm trying to, white knight for Microsoft here or anything. It's just me pointing out that it's not just Microsoft, and that anger and frustration shouldn't just be geared towards that. It should be geared towards the industry as a whole because of what's going on. You see things like Amazon, who just cut 18,000 people from their workforce. You have things like Meta, which back in November ended up cutting 11,000 people from their workforce. You even have Tesla and Twitter, both owned by Elon Musk, also cutting down 6,000 people from Tesla and 3,000 people from Tesla or from Twitter. And now we even have Microsoft cutting 10,000 people from the workforce. And this isn't just 10,000, right? Yes, that is a large amount of number, but you also got to consider the fact that those 10,000 people have mouths to feed. They have loved ones, significant others, wives and husbands. They have children. They have people that they care about that they are also affecting. So this is actually far more than just 10,000 people affected. And it is such a sad thing. I'm not trying to make little of this. It's just, it sucks. It sucks for all those people that lost their job, and I'm sorry to all of those people. And I don't know what that feels like. I have been in the military ever since high school, so I don't really have a sense of fear when it comes down to losing my job. And that could be a bad thing at times, but I do have that transition that I'm going through right now, getting to get out of the military soon. So that is a fear that I'm kind of feeling right now, and I just am scared for myself, and I'm scared for all these people. And I hope that everyone there has time to kind of work everything out and get back on their feet, because I know that, yeah, it sucks that Microsoft did fire these people, but they also have that they could put on their resume, and Microsoft is considered one of the best companies to work for, and to have that as something on a part of your resume is pretty impressive. And I feel like a lot of people would hire you just because of that. And also there's also a lot of openings going on in other companies, like ABK is hiring some people. You have Destiny or Bungie hiring some people. You have Guerrilla Games, and I think some other gaming companies are opening up their doors to try and get more people underneath their belt, and that's really awesome to see. So I hope that the community can still come together and help these people find jobs after this really terrible time. To kind of understand why this is going on, we kind of have to look at a couple of factors. You have to see that, okay, the tech industry had a huge boom because of COVID. COVID forced everyone inside, and everyone started going towards the computer, started going towards laptops and their phones and their tablets and their TVs and their consoles and stuff. And so because of all this, tech just blew up because of COVID. And now, in order to handle that demand, you had all these tech industries going and pretty much hiring as many people as they can, because they needed to fulfill all of that demand. And now that we've gone back to a more normal state of things, it's kind of dwindled down, and people are going outside again and really getting away from the screens, which is really awesome. And it's good to see that most of the world is kind of coming back. Another thing that is actually hitting the world right now is the rise of inflation. Inflation is pretty much an all-time high, and that is still having an effect on a lot of people and a lot of industries. A lot of people are pretty much not buying anything anymore because of the amount of inflation. And we are also going through an economic crisis right now with a potential recession going on this year. Now, a lot of people say that it's going to be happening this year, but in fact, I already think that it's already here. But analysts say that it is not here yet, but I beg to differ. So we have a lot of these combinations going on. We have a recession, we have inflation, we have not many people buying into tech anymore because of the combination of those things, and because COVID is now over. And during that time, you had Microsoft, which actually hired over 60,000 people between 2020 and now. 60,000 people they hired during this time. And that's a lot of people for a company to be hiring. And so that's great that they're able to hire that many people. But this comes to a close now where we see them kind of laying off a lot of these individuals. And it kind of sucks. And it's oddly enough, the weird thing about it is the timing. The timing of this is kind of weird. You're going through something right now where they're having this ABK deal where they're spending $70 billion on it. They were posting record profits of over $198 billion for the quarter. So they aren't hurting at all. So it's just kind of shitty to see a company that is so making so much money and making it like paying for this huge deal to go through, and then they're letting people off. Which is not a good look. And you also got to be concerned about this deal as well, because you see this ABK deal going through, and that kind of looks weird when they're talking about how this is good for competition, this is good for creating jobs, this is good for the industry, and yet you're firing 10,000 people. But kind of you're kind of going back on your word there, and that is super shitty. It just doesn't make much sense why they're doing it now. But they're firing 10,000 people, but whenever they gain ABK, they are gaining 10,000 people. So maybe that's why they're firing people, to kind of make room to cover those 10,000 people. But we all know every time there is a major transition, a major deal like this that happens, a lot of layoffs occur in order to kind of trim the fat and to kind of shape the industry and to shape those studios into what you want them to be able to do. And because of what ABK is known for with the sexual assault, the bullying going on there, I really can't see them not firing a lot of people, because a lot of people that were involved with those allegations are still working there to this day. So I think that they have a lot of shaking up to do when it comes to ABK as well. So the firing is not over by any means, and they are still doing it. So I feel for everyone that's involved. But I kind of want to move on and kind of talk about the focus of where they're firing people in the gaming division when it comes down to the Xbox platform. And where they're focusing most of their efforts on is actually in 343, which is pretty, it's kind of crazy. And I have a weird way of looking at it, because we've been asking for a shakeup when it comes to 343 for the longest time now. And this seems to be the time that they're finally deciding to do that. But it just also is not a really cool way of doing it either. It's not something that I had wanted people to lose their jobs over because Halo didn't make me happy for an hour of my time or whatever. It's, yes, I want Halo to be successful, and yes, I want that brand to continue going on, but not at the cost of someone's livelihood, not by any means. But this is how they're going about it. And oddly enough, the people that they're firing is not the multiplayer people, which you would kind of think would be the people that are at fault. Nope, it is the campaign people that are involved with the storytelling there, which is very, very odd. Now, also, I want to say that I don't ever think it's the employees' fault for the way Halo turned out. I think it is the people that were higher up, like Bonnie Ross and the other people that are on her same level. I think they had a lot to do with the demise of Halo, and they were the ones that should have been getting the can, but they were able to get out of it ahead of time, which is really unfair in comparison to all these people who have done nothing but work hard for your company. Because at the end of the day, Halo Infinite's campaign was the highlight of the whole entire game in the first place. I loved what they did with the weapon. I loved what they did with the relationship between Cortana and John, and I liked the trajectory of which they were going, and I was hoping that we were going to be getting even more content and that they were going to continue to supply us with that. But it looks like that might be going away. But the thing is, those people didn't deserve get fired like that. Now there's reports of it being from 60 to 130 people. At the moment, we really aren't sure on what the correct amount is, but that is a lot. That is a lot of people. This is something that I feel like a lot of people were asking for, but at the same time, they didn't realize what it meant whenever they decided to actually go through with this. And there's a lot of negatives about this, right? Obviously, people losing their jobs is negative. And you're losing talent. You're losing the people that know the engine, that know the characters, that love the lore, who worked hard on this. But one of the points that they made was that Joseph Staten is actually leaving and going back to Xbox Game Publishing. Now, I kind of want to clear this up a little bit because I feel like they're running with this as if it's like a big deal. This was always the plan. This is always what was expected of Joseph Staten. Joseph Staten was only brought on to make sure that Halo Infinite was able to reach all the goals that were set and that they were able to kind of get this game out and to the public. And that was his sole purpose at 343 Industries. It was not to take the Halo franchise and run with it into the future. That was not the case. He did go and try to also direct what the future of the Halo franchise would be. He did give some cliff notes as to what they would expect going forward to the people at 343, but it was never going to be a spot for him to kind of take over and bring Halo back, as a lot of people thought. That was never the case. That was always what was planned, and now he is returning to Xbox Game Publishing, which is no shock there. A lot of people are shocked by this for some reason, which is weird because it was always a thing. But this is like, it's so weird because a lot of people are starting to come out with more information about all of this, including Windows Central, who has some little tidbits that can actually shed more light on this. Former 343 Industry devs respond to Microsoft layoffs. They set up Halo for failure. So what do you need to know? Microsoft recently announced its intent to lay off 10,000 of its employees between now and June 30th, 2023. So far, Halo Infinite developer 343 Industries has been hit particularly hard by these cuts and has lost over 60 of its employees. And there's even rumors of it being even higher than that, up to 130 is what I've heard. Former 343 Industry developers have voiced scathing criticisms of Microsoft's leadership and management policies on social media after details about the layoffs came to light. Layoffs come after Microsoft reported $198 billion in 2022 revenue, and as it continues its efforts to acquire Activision Blizzard for $69 billion. A thread from known Halo leaker Bathrobe Spartan suggests that 343 Industries is losing 1/3 of its workforce, or more than 130 employees. Additionally, the rumors say that as a result of this, the studio plans to halt development of single-player campaign-style content for Halo Infinite and Halo in general for the foreseeable future. Bathrobe Spartan concludes that moving forward, 343 Industries will coordinate additional updates for Halo Infinite's multiplayer while continuing to outsource the game to partner studios like Skybox Labs, Sparasoft, and Certain Affinity. Supposedly, these layoffs will not affect Halo Infinite's planned content releases, such as the expected launch of Season 3 Echoes Within on March 7th, 2023. And in that article, they go over a bunch of what other developers that are ex-developers of 343 Industries had to say about the news, and pretty much they talked about how bad the management was over at 343, which is something that we all kind of expected, and that they are at a loss of words because of the fact that all those people that were working on it, the people on the teams were the hard workers, and they're the ones that are being screwed over. And they talk about how they love this IP and the fact that they're kind of ruining Halo, which is sad but true. It is a true statement. But I ended up finding a Reddit post about Bathrobe Spartan, and goes into detail a little bit more about some of the stuff that he was covering about Halo. So in this article that is found on Reddit, he pretty much just talks about how the single player content of Halo was actually scrapped because they decided that single player just in general doesn't provide enough support, doesn't provide enough money and revenue to continue down that avenue. So they ended up scrapping a lot of those ideas. And right now, as we speak, they have no plans with continuing the story of Halo and that everything story related is currently on pause. Now, with the multiplayer aspect of it, that is still going to be continuing. They're still going to come out with seasons and updates and stuff. That has not changed. And the fact that the multiplayer people are still there is, well, good for them. But they're the ones that are like still going to be pushing out content, and nothing has changed on that aspect. But the interesting thing here is these layoffs are the result of several factors: Microsoft's overall preparation for a possible recession, the studio's high operating costs for not meeting financial goals, multiplayer-focused strategy for the future of Halo Infinite. 343 Industries will not disappear, but the game development part of the studio will. Thus, the projects and future of the studio lie in a two-point strategy: coordinate Halo Infinite follow-up, give the Halo license to other studios. Having multiple people responsible for project management and balancing Halo Infinite, 343 Industries can delegate content production to outside studios as it did for Season 2. As a reminder, much Season 2's content, whether it be multiplayer maps as well as elements in the store and Battle Pass, was designed by Sparasoft as well as Certain Affinity. So that is something that's really interesting to see, is that they are kind of going to be sort of the people that shepherd Halo going forward, and they're not actually going to be the people that are going to be working hands-on with Halo. And this can be a good thing. We've seen it with World's Edge, with what they do with Age of Empires and stuff, how they always kind of give it out to other people, but they're the ones that have total control over it. And this is also something that's going on with the Initiative and Perfect Dark, where you see the Initiative hiring Crystal Dynamics to come in and kind of clean up house on a lot of stuff. And this could potentially be happening with Playground Games and their work on Fable, because they did hire Eidos Montreal to come in and help them with that. So this could potentially be a good thing to see other studios come in and kind of give their take on Halo. This can be exciting for some people, because a lot of people are excited about maybe id potentially getting their hands on Halo. But as much as I love id, I think that the way id has their FPS games feel compared to how Halo feels, I feel like that could kind of be a little bit weird. It definitely needs a palate cleanser, but I think that we shouldn't be getting too ahead of ourselves right now. That this company is still recovering. These people that have lost their jobs over this are still recovering, but it does give us potential foresight of what they might do with Halo. So I don't think you should be scared that Halo's leaving, because I think that right now Halo, Phil Spencer has said it himself, that if Halo dies, Xbox dies, and that's the right mindset to have. Like, this is a franchise that has carried the Xbox brand since inception, and I think that they should be treating it with a lot more respect, especially when you see other companies with their heavy hitters like God of War with Sony. They've treated Kratos with respect ever since the creation of God of War. You see that same thing with Nintendo and their respect for Mario and Zelda. These are franchises that are always going to hit, and they're always going to pay homage to, because of how these two characters carried Nintendo through so many years of service. So I think that they should also do the same thing with Halo. It really does need to be either be put on ice for a little bit to kind of cool off and come back stronger than ever. And hopefully, I know it's bad to have these firings, and I don't ever want to belittle this. Again, I reiterate that this is by no means me trying to say that this is not a concern, because it is. This isn't just a number. It's not 10,000 people. It's real life people that are being affected by this. There's people that in the industry that are going to be affected by this. There's people that are friends and family members. This is just so sad to see and hear. But maybe this shakeup is going to be good moving forward for this little section of gaming here. But this seems to be the day that Halo died, as of right now. It's really sad to kind of sit back and think about that. But what do you guys think? Do you think that Microsoft's going to do just fine? Like, 10,000 people is a lot, but they have hired 60,000 people from COVID to now, which is a real great thing. But it's kind of hard to kind of look at all those numbers that they're making every single year, and the amount of money that the CEO gets, and think like couldn't have kept them for a little bit longer. But But do you think that Halo is going to be fixed going forward? Do you think that this was necessary for the franchise? Do you think that a shakeup is going to be refreshing? And would you like to see another studio that's not 343 handle the IP, either in a way that they have it where World's Edge does it, or how the initiative is doing it? Let me know in the comment section below. I appreciate you guys for stopping by. I appreciate you guys for checking me out. And if you guys like Xbox, if you guys want to see more reviews and stuff, please like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know in the comment section below what your thoughts are. I'll be seeing you guys on the next one. Remember, take it easy.